Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea, hope you're all good. So, following on from the Victory Sheriff 22 demo that I did before, which I used a Fender Strat for, I said I was going to do another video using a humbucker guitar. So that's what this is. I'm using my PRS Custom 24, and I've got the 5909 pickups in it. So just to recap on the amp real quick, this is the Victory Sheriff 22. It's an EL84 powered 22 watt head. It's the lunchbox head. We've got two volumes, volume 1 and volume 2. Volume 1 is sort of less output, not as high gain, and then volume 2 you can drive it a bit more, get a bit more saturation. 3-band EQ, presence, and a master. Again, this has an effects loop, but it works in a way that it's affected by the master, so it's actually based on an old school circuit. But anyway, 22 watts, running it into the Torpedo, the two notes Torpedo Studio, which is running the same impulse response as the last video. So I've got the V30 speaker and the G1265 Heritage speaker. And yeah, basically this is a video just going to go through the amp again, but with a humbucker guitar. So yeah, there you go. Let's hear how it sounds. So that was volume 1. I'm going to move to volume 2, but just a few words, if you will. It's a good sound. I mean, it's thicker, it's darker, and it's like, this is definitely an amp that is designed for those old school sounds. Now, that's why the Fender Custom Shop 55 sounded so good, which is here. But I don't own another sort of vintage output guitar, unfortunately. I don't have a Les Paul or a 335 or something like that yet. that could do that. But this is the 5909 pickups in this PRS, and so they are a little bit more sort of classic sounding. It's got more of that classic crunchy mid-range that you'd expect from an older, less modern sounding guitar. And it sounds much clearer and more authentic and lovely than, say, one of my other guitars with a bare knuckle in it. And because, for the sake of this video, I'll plug the bare knuckles in. I'll even plug the baritone in so you can hear just how it works across the board. But for me, this is one of those classic rock, vintage output plexi style amplifiers. And so you can use a humbucker with this, but I would recommend a lower output, something that's going to be a little bit more bitey and a little less just gain monster. Or use a single coil guitar, or even a miniature humbucker. But anyway, let's move across to volume 2. So for all those who have asked, this is my Relic with a bare knuckle Warpig. This is a 21.5K output humbucker, way too high gain for an amp like this, but I will show you nonetheless really quickly on volume 2 going between low and high gain. So here you go. there you go. There it is, the Sheriff 22 using humbuckers. And like I said to you before, it's really, really nice and authentic, and it really does capture the vibe of that old school Plexus tone when you use something like the PRS with the 5909s, because they're less output and it's got more of that classic vibe to it. And you know, I'd love to hear it with an old school Les Paul, but I don't own one. And I know that these sound fantastic with Les Pauls because I've heard Lee's, the Captain's Les Paul, the 50s one. So they're great. They really are. And so, yeah, that's why I showed you with the PRS first and foremost, because it's probably the closest thing to that. You know, in my opinion, although they did sound good using the baritone and the Relic with the bare knuckle Warpig, it's not the amp for those kind of sounds. You in a recording situation on an album, it might have the perfect sound that I need for that kind of, well, I don't know really, if it works, it works, you know, but I would not match up a guitar like my Relic with the Warpig in with this amp. I most certainly would with this, but with the Sheriff, I'm all about getting that classic tones from my Strat, and, you know, I will get a Les Paul at some point, and just to get those classic rock, you know, and plexi vibes. So that's, for me, why I love this amplifier, because it does that extremely well. And again, that's my favorite thing about it. It captures that old school essence. So I hope this has helped you guys, all those that wanted to know what humbuckers sound like through this guitar. I hope that's helped. But anyway, I've been Rabea, that's been the Sheriff 22, and I sincerely hope you all have a good day.